You are well, and I also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today, we'll be doing our grade 3 English lesson on subject verb agreement. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once you've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of English Language Arts, grade 3, and then we're going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of subject verb agreement. All right, so our chapter is subject verb agreement. Our subject is English Language Arts, grade 3. And the lessons that we are going to be focusing on under the chapter of subject verb agreement is the subject singular or is it plural? And we're going to use the correct subject or verb. All right. So we're going to say is a subject singular or plural, and we're going to use the correct subject or verb. All right. So when it comes to our subject verb agreement, right? And especially finding out if something, or let's say if it is singular or if it's plural, right? The subject is singular or plural. All right. So when it comes to our subject verb agreement, we have singular subjects and we have plural subjects, right? Our singular subjects, right? It names only one person. So singular subjects, it names only one person, one animal, one place, or one thing. And when a subject is singular, right, we also use a singular verb. So when we use a singular subject, we use a singular verb. And singular verbs, they end in s, es, or they end in is, ies. So singular verbs, they either end in s, they end in es, or they end in ies. Right? And if we look at an example, right, of a singular subject with a singular verb, then we can say Sarah. Sarah is one person. So Sarah visits. Remember, we said that our verb will end either in s, es, or ies. So we don't say Sarah visit, but we say Sarah visits her grandmother. So Sarah visits her grandmother. So Sarah is our singular subject and our singular verb is visits. Visits is our singular verb that agrees with our singular subject, which is Sarah. All right, another example of a singular subject with a singular verb, it says, my cat. When we say my cat, then we're referring to one cat because we didn't say my cats. My cat refers to one cat. My cat washes. So washes is a verb that ends with an es. Washes her paws. So my cat washes her paws. All right. So that is basically our singular subjects with our singular verbs. And remember, we said a singular subject, it names only one person, one animal, one place, or one thing, right? That is a singular subject. And we have a singular verb that ends with either s, es, or ies. But now we also have a plural subject, right? And plural subjects are plural subjects. It names more than one person, more than one animal, more than one place, or more than one thing. And when the subject is plural, we use a plural verb. And the plural verb, it does not end in s, es, or is. So it doesn't end in s, es, or ies. All right. And if we make examples of a plural subject, right? An example of a plural subject is so Kyle and JC, because now we're making mention of two people, which is Kyle and JC. It's not singular, it is plural because it is two people. So Kyle and Jesse, and we can say walk home. And remember, we said a plural subject, right, needs to agree with a plural verb. And a plural verb, it does not end with an SES or IES. All right, another example, right, is if you look at another example, if you look at another example, it says the flowers. And flowers, it basically shows that there is more than one. So the word flowers with an S. So do we say flowers grow in the garden? All right. Sorry, guys. So, guys, we need to talk about singular subjects as well as plural subjects, right? Plural subjects, it is where we have two or more, let's say, people doing an action. And when two or more people are doing an action, and then our verb doesn't end with an S, our verb doesn't end with an ES, or our verb ends with, no, I am here, guys, sorry. No, guys, sorry, I apologize. I am here. Sometimes I say something, but then my sound is gone. Can you guys hear me now? Guys, can you hear me? Okay, all right. That's cool. No, sometimes I do wait on you guys, but sometimes my sound is bad. But I'm here. All right, so we spoke about singular subjects and we are about plural subjects where we said that with plural subjects, it names more than one person, animal, place, or thing, right? And when a subject is plural, we use a plural verb where we don't add an s, es, or ies, right? So if, for example, we say that, for example, Ruth and someone is doing something, then we say they walk home, they eat fruit, right? But we don't say walks, we don't say eats, right? It's the same like over here where we say the flowers, we're making mention of more than one flower. It grow in the garden, right? So we don't say grows in the garden, grow in the garden without the S, right? So now we're going to a+students.ca where we are going to continue with our subject verb agreement and we're going to is the subject singular or is it plural? All right. So we said that with our singular subjects, we name only one person, animal, place, or thing. And when a subject is singular, we use a singular verb that ends in s, es, or ies. And with our plural subjects, it names more than one person, animal, place, or thing. And when a subject is plural, we use a plural verb, and that does not end in s, es, or ies, right? So now we're going to do a few activities, and we're going to say if the subject, right? The subject is either the person or thing that we are talking about that does the action. We're now going to say, is the subject either singular or is it plural? It says, Miss Henderson. So Miss Henderson coaches the girls' soccer team at school. So Miss Henderson, is it singular or is it plural? If we make mention of Miss Henderson, is Miss Henderson one person or more than one person? Is it singular or is it plural? All right, so if we were to choose either if Miss Henderson is singular plural, then yes, we will say Miss Henderson is singular because we are only making mention of one person. Dad adds extra sugar to the cake batter. Dad adds extra sugar to the cake batter. So the word dad, the subject dad, is it singular or is it plural? All right, and if we were to choose if dad is either singular or plural, then we will say dad is singular because dad refers to one person, right? Yes, so well done. Now the next one, Paul and I. Paul and I slide down the hill in our sled. So Paul and I, is that subject singular or is the subject plural? Paul and I. Remember, we're saying Paul and I. It's like someone would say me and Paul. So Paul and I, is that singular or is it plural? All right, and if we were to choose our correct, if it's singular or if it's plural, then yes, we would say Paul and I, it is plural. It is plural because it makes mention of more than one person because we are talking about Paul and we are talking about I. So it's two people talking about me and we're talking about Paul. So it's two people, right? So that is plural. Anything that only refers to one person is singular. Anything that refers to two people or more, that is plural, right? All right, so now let's go to our test where we are going to say is the subject singular or if the subject is plural. So we're not going to say if the subject is singular or if the subject is plural. Dad and I share a small pizza for lunch. Dad and I. So the word dad and I, is that plural or is it singular? So the subject dad and I, is it plural or is it singular? Dad and I. Option 1 plural or option 2 singular. All right, and if we were to choose the correct answer, we can say dad and I, it is plural because it refers to two people, right? So dad and I refers to two people. All right. Now we're looking at the next one. It says the train. So the train arrives at the station in 20 minutes. So train or the train, is that singular or is it plural? The train, is it singular or is it plural? The train. All right. And if we make mention of the train, and then we can say it is singular. And the train is correct. All right. So the teachers order books and games online. So teachers. So teachers, are we referring to one teacher or more than one teacher? Is it singular or is it plural? All right, and if we were to choose the correct subject, right? If it's singular or plural, then teachers, we can say it is plural. All right, so plural is correct. Dad adds extra sugar in the cake batter. Dad. All right. So dad, do we say dad is singular or dad is plural? All right. Dad refers to one guy, one man, and that is singular. Logan makes apple bars for the cake sale. Logan makes apple bars for the cake sale. So Logan, is Logan singular? So Logan, is Logan singular or is Logan plural? One person that we are talking about. All right, and if we were to choose the correct one, we will choose singular because it refers to Logan, right? So now we're going to use the correct subject or we're going to use the correct verb, right? Okay, they're already giving us it. All right. All right, so we see that our subject and the verb in a sentence they must agree. And then once again, we made mention of singular and plural nouns, right? And we said a singular subject names only one person, animals, place, or thing, and it needs to agree with a singular verb. And then we have a plural subject which names more than one person, animal, place, or thing. All right. So when it also comes to our singular as well as our plural subjects and verbs, like we said, it needs to agree with one another. Because if we are making mention of a singular subject, right, then the verb will then not end in s or es, right? All right. And remember, our singular subjects needs to agree with our singular verb, and our plural subject needs to agree with our plural verb, right? It needs to agree with one another. All right, so now we're going to complete the subject or the sentence with the best subject. It says, coaches Derek's base basketball team? Who coaches Derek's basketball team? You can choose a name. You can choose anybody's name. All right. The next one says, laugh whenever the show is on. All right. And we says, laugh whenever that show is on. Yeah, we can say, like, think of somebody that laugh, but more than one person. Think of somebody or yes, her friend, but in this case, it must be plural. Because if you look at our verb does not have an S or ES. All right. So here we can, for example, say my dad coaches Derek's basketball team, right? It's just random names that is added. The men, yes, we can say the men laugh whenever that show is on. Yes, beautiful. So the men laugh when the show is on, right? All right. Guys, the class is almost done. Just 4 more minutes. And then we are done. Remember, I can't end the class early, right? I can't end it early, but it is literally 4 minutes, probably 3 minutes, and then the class will be over. Let's go to our test, where we are going to use the correct subject or verb. All right, so Sasha and and. Sasha and Anne. Do we say draw pictures in art class? Or do we say Sasha and Anne draws pictures in art class? So Sasha and Anne. Yeah, so since Sasha and Anne is plural, right? Our verb also needs to agree with the subject. So we can say Sasha and Anne draw pictures in an art class. So well done, well done. Mrs. McG, do we say Mrs. McG arrange or Mrs. McG arranges? All right, so we can say Mrs. McG, which refers to one person, which is a singular. So we can say arranges many fun events at school. Right? Yes, so option two is correct. Well done. And let's look at the last one. It says, bend wire. Do we say the girls bend wire into circles for necklaces? All right, so we can say we bend wire into circles for necklaces. All right, so now we say, do we say the girls bend wire into circles for necklaces, or do we say Bella bend wire into circles for necklaces? All right, so do we say the girls bend wire, or do we say Bella? No, it can't be both. Because remember, we said that when we have a singular subject, right, then our verb also needs to be singular and our verb needs to end in an S. If we have a plural subject, right, if we have a plural subject that needs to agree with a plural verb, and it does not end, the verb doesn't end with an S-E-S or I-E-S, which means that it is the girls bend wires. So it's the girls, not Bella, the girls, right? So this is now the end of our lesson on subject verb agreement. Thank you very much, grade threes, for joining the class. We spoke about subject verb agreement, and your subject needs to agree with either the verb, whether it's plural, or whether it is singular. All right, so this is the end of our lesson. Thank you very much, grade threes. You should have a good evening further. Goodbye.